Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. I was pushing buttons and all this other stuff. I hate doing that. Let me push this button. Yeah, when I start the show, remember I am slammed when I start the show because I'm starting it on all of our formats. So just please understand that there's a lot going on as far as I got to make sure that all the buttons are right, everything's unmuted. So anyway, I am Bishop James Long with the United States Old Catholic Church. If you want to go to my website, it's very, very simple to do. So first of all you got to do is bishopjameslong.com. That's it, bishopjameslong.com, Long. And there we go. And you're set to go. And you are going to be, let's see, I'm going to report you for hate speech. There we go. Yeah, it's terrible. Some people are just so rude. I'm not going to repeat what the person just said. It's just really disgusting. But anyway, bishopjameslong.com is where you need to go on the website. Now, keep in mind, for those of you who don't know, I run the show on multiple formats. I run the show here on TikTok. I run the show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and Spreaker, and I run also over here on Clapper. So a lot of people get angry with me because I don't answer your question, because I'm running the show on 3 different computers. So, I mean, I'm only one person. I only have 2 sets of eyes. So if I'm focused here, I can't see the questions here or here. So relax, everybody. Oh, yeah, you're right. Janelle, literally before I even started officially live, because I always start a little early on TikTok and Clapper. It's easier to do it that way. Already the trolls. I mean, literally, as soon as I pushed the buttons, trolls were like this. It's like cockroaches. It really is. It's sad to me that people, and I've said this before, people who troll clergy or anybody on a Saturday night because they have nothing else better to do, I think that's really, really sad to me. To me, I think, my life is pretty, well, for the most part, pretty calm and relaxed. And some people would even say boring. But the most exciting thing that you have to look forward to on a Saturday night is to troll people who are online. That's sad. I mean, that's no life. There's no life there. That to me, it's like, dude, seriously. I mean, that's your entertainment. That's pretty sad. Go see a movie. But anyway, what are you going to do? Well, the thing is, someone says, do I see the trolls as a form of the devil? Well, when I do Bible study, unfortunately, I have to turn the comments off because people are so vicious. I mean, they're just, and the thing is they think it's funny making comments about, hurting children. And that's not, obviously, I know that's not a reflection on me. That's a reflection on them. Someone who would even make a joke like that or even try to attack somebody like that, that person needs counseling. Because anybody who would try to make a crack or a wise joke like that, or even to try to degrade somebody who's never, ever done anything illegal, ever, to me, I just kind of think, but it's really sad. That's a reflection on that person. I would never say that to anybody, but people do. And I think they need psychological help. That's my opinion. So anyway, you're right. I like I've said before, many times before, just because someone calls you a dog doesn't mean you have to bark. And someone can throw, and the thing is here's what I do know. If people are harassing you, please understand that they will have to answer to God for that. While they may think it's funny and cute and clever and ha ha ho ho, I promise you, I give you my word, the day they meet God, and then the day God shows them all the hateful things that they've said to somebody, while they're online or email or phone, they will have to answer for those comments. And God won't be laughing. God won't think it's clever. And so anyway, you just have to, that's what that's what it is. So, yep. I agree. Misery loves company. So there you go. Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, anybody, I don't care who it is. If any pastor or harms a child, they should be put in prison. And if any bishop or cardinal or even pope, I don't care who it is, covers it up, they also should be put in prison. There is should never, ever, that's something obviously should not be ever tolerated. It's just disgusting. But anyway, there we go. Bye. So I appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Man, some narcissistic people in here today. But we're here. We're here. My goodness gracious. It is. The thing is, well, we'll talk about that. Yeah, it's a good question. Well, the thing is, people think that they can get under your skin because they say ugly things. But I know who I am. So if someone says something nasty to you or call you something, or don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that it gets under your skin, because I won't cuss. I won't scream. I won't stomp my foot. I won't give them foul gestures with like a middle finger or something. I'm not going to do that. I'm just simply going to say, okay, and block and move on. And I won't give it a second thought. And neither should you. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who like to judge and condemn and throw some stones at you, and who like to, say some terrible things. And they think because they do that, they're so narcissistic. That really is. You have to understand, people who do that have an extreme narcissistic personality disorder, because they think that the words they use are going to affect you. They think that their words have power over you. That's narcissism. I mean, that is a narcissistic personality disorder. Then that really does. That person needs psychological help. But you don't allow it. You just simply say, well, you're wrong, and I don't know you, and you don't know me. And so just because you call me a dog, I don't have to bark. And then you just move on. That's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Stop talking about every time. See again. See another troll. Stop talking about it. I'm sick of tired of talking about it. And I don't care. I don't care. Okay. Ben, I have not even talked about anything about LGBT. I've not said one word about LGBT. And boy, there's a lot of hate out there, isn't today? My goodness. Woo. Lord Almighty. Okay, let me give you a little heads up with Miss Wilma, everybody. First of all, for those of you who are talking about the Bible, then I invite you to join me for Bible study on Sundays and Wednesdays, because there are some people who are on TikTok already throwing, well, you don't talk about the Bible. You don't. I don't ever see you on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I've been teaching Bible study for quite some time now. So on Sundays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I teach Bible study, and I'd love to see you there. But there you go. I did not know. I have not eaten dinner tonight. I'm fasting. I do periodic fasting. So no, I have not, but I appreciate the question. Okay. Miss Wilma. Miss Wilma is not here tonight, folks. Miss Wilma is sick. God love her. She has pneumonia. Yeah, she has pneumonia. For those of you who don't know, Miss Wilma, she jumps on with us for usually the first half an hour, and we just goof off and have a good time. And I consider her a family member. She's 68 years old. She has multiple sclerosis, and unfortunately, she's been sick. So she has pneumonia. Yeah. So she just unfortunately won't be here this evening. So just definitely keep her in your thoughts and prayers, because she's a sickly. And I told her many times, I can come over here and find the biggest needle. I mean, the biggest needle, and just give her a shot. And for some reason, she just doesn't want me to do that. I don't know why. But who knows? Maybe I think she might just say, yeah, you know what? If that'll fix me, come on over and give me a shot. So we'll have to keep her in your thoughts and prayers. All right. So there we go. But we have a lot to cover. I have a lot of ideas that I want to talk about, especially if you're living in a state, and if you want to know like a haunted location, that's in your state, I'll be more than happy to kind of give you guys a list that's there. Um, oh, I'm sorry, very sorry there, GC 720. Your mom passed away. What is her name, GC 72? Keep in mind, folks, only moderators can pen. Please. So only on TikTok, and it's not because the penning causes problems. So we just ask that only moderators pen. Okay, and that's okay. You didn't know. GC 720. What is your mom's name? Yeah, it's. I've heard of Rolling Hills, but I've never been there before. Penning is when you pen it at the very top and it stays up there. Isabel. Okay, well, we'll certainly I'll dedicate mass to her. So yeah, that's sad. I know how hard, because we lost our mom, and so I know how hard it is. It's tough. Anytime you lose a family member, it's never easy. And yeah, it's tough. I understand. Okay, but I do have a lot to cover today for you guys, and hold on, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, sorry, I was just looking at something here because people were asking me questions here on this. Okay, it does. It does. I get it. I get it. People are asking me. Hold on. I don't know what is. There must be something in the air. People are slamming me with a lot of things here, especially on Messenger. Well, on New Jersey, there is from my understanding, here's a website here, and this is by Patty Sapone. The Spy House. The Spy House, also known as the Seabrook Wilson House, is one of the oldest surviving homes in the Bayshore, built in 1663. That's very cool. In Port Monmouth, the house has a history of ghostly apparitions and paranormal presences. So that's a place that you can go to. Also, the historic village at Allaire. It's a reenactor guides people during a lantern tour of the living museums. That'd be pretty cool. Actually, I love historical locations. The Tilly Smith, she died in defense of her honor. There's also the Shippen Manor, the Devil's Tree. The tree, located at Mountain Road in Bernards, is a solitary oak located in a field on a mountain road in Bernards Township. I've heard of this before, and local legends suggest that the tree is cursed. And the story goes that a local farmer killed his wife and children, then hanged himself from the tree. And the legend continues that anyone who cuts down the tree will come to an untimely end. So I've heard of this location before. That's supposed to. Matter of fact, I think they've done several, if I'm correct, videos on that as well. I have not seen the new Evil Dead movie, but I am planning to see that because I know a lot of people want me to, give a movie review. I saw The Pope's Exorcist, and so I did a movie review on that. I certainly will. Okay, let me just go over this because some people want to know about how do I know if my house is haunted. And I'll look. I'm going to be here for. Normally, when I do presentations on a Friday, it's very organized, it's very structured. For the first hour, I do an hour like a lecture, and then the second hour, I answer all your paranormal questions. And we'll do that tonight too. But I did put together a couple things that I want to share with you regarding the paranormal. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people. Let me just say this because I think it's important. There's a lot of people out there who love to throw religion and attack people who are paranormal investigators. Say, "Oh, you're doing the work of the devil. You're doing the work of the devil." I think those people really need to get off the high horse for a moment, because here's what we do as investigators. So before you start judging and going on nonsense, you need to learn what we do. So if a family is terrified because they have paranormal activity and they're stressed and they have issues and they need help, a paranormal team will be dispatched They will investigate, try to debunk. They will gather all the evidence. And then if they can't explain what's going on, they send the evidence to the church or to clergy to help. Now, that's a ministry. And if you don't understand that, then you simply don't understand ministry, or you just like to throw stones at people who are actually doing work. And that, truthfully, are you throwing stones because you have a problem with it, or are you throwing stones because you know that you should help and you're just sitting at home doing nothing? See, people who normally throw stones at paranormal investigators are usually the ones who like to attack people, but they themselves do not do anything to help people who are going through hell, which I think is pretty sad to me. Oh, they'll criticize. They'll offer criticism, but they won't put gas in their car, and they won't travel to people's homes, and they won't invest in the equipment that's needed to decipher what's going on in the home. They won't do that. But what they will do is offer criticism. That's a hypocrite. Jesus did not like hypocrites. The Pharisees were hypocrites. So anybody can sit there and throw a stone at people who are trying to help. But if you're going to throw stones and yet you're going to sit behind the keyboard courage and not get in your car and put gas in your car and pay for a hotel or pay for a flight to go to people's homes, if the only thing that you're going to offer is criticism, then you are offering nothing but the devil's work. Nothing. Because I truly believe it's evil. Paranormal investigators that I work with invest a lot of their own personal money into buying equipment. And this equipment is not cheap. And they go to people's homes. They never charge. They go through hours upon hours of evidence. They gather all the evidence. And they try to explain what's going on. And then if they can't, then they forward that information to me and say, look, we need you to look at this evidence here because we think you need to get involved. Not once are they charging people. Not once are they taking advantage of people. So anybody who calls themselves a Christian who like to throw stones at paranormal investigators who are doing that really should get off the cross and let Jesus have a try. Because it's easy to criticize somebody when you are doing nothing except for offering criticism. But I'll tell you this, if your family was going through this, you would thank God that the same investigators that you were attacking were willing to come to your home for absolutely free to help you. You see, that's a hypocrite. That is a hypocrite. And I don't like hypocrites. I think it's disgusting to me. So people who always say, well, you're doing the devil's work. You're doing the devil's work. Well, you're doing no work. See, that's the difference. People are at least trying to help people. But people who offer criticism do nothing except for the devil's work. And they do the devil's work. I have met a lot of paranormal investigators who have left the field because of Christians who attack them publicly and say terrible things. And the only crime that these paranormal investigators have ever committed, the only crime was to help people for free. And see, in the trolls' minds, that's a criticism. Oh, I agree with that. I agree. Seema says, but the question is paranormal investigators are trying to help, and which we're going to try to take advantage. Yeah, I'm sure there are many good ones, good people. You're right. You're absolutely right. There are bad paranormal investigators, and there are those who are doing it for reasons to help. But I got to tell you something. There are more respectful and honorable paranormal investigating teams than there are those bad apples. There's always going to be the bad apples, always. And the bad apples do not properly represent the paranormal community. I cannot tell you how many teams have left the field. They've said, that's it. We've had enough, because people who call Christians, and then these Christians attack them viciously. And they just had enough. They just say, you know what? I'm done with this. And now those people who attack these paranormal teams don't realize that now we don't have teams to help families who need help. So that is doing the work of the devil, what these people are doing. Those people, the trolls who are attacking paranormal investigators, they're not going and buying the equipment. Again, they're not putting the gas in their car. They're not traveling to people's homes that they don't know. They're not gathering evidence and going through hours upon hours of evidence. They're not doing any of that. But they sure in the hell love to throw stones at people who are trying to do it. If those people don't realize they're doing the work of the devil, then they are just completely ignorant. I applaud paranormal teams who go out to people's homes. And I've said this before. People who are paranormal investigators, there's a difference between somebody who is a ghost hunter and do it for whatever reason, publicity reasons, and then seasoned paranormal investigators who truly and legitimately want to help families. The people that I work with are not thrill seekers. The people that I work with are individuals who answer the phones at 2:00 in the morning, who gather all the evidence, who gather all the equipment that they need, drive hours upon hours to people's homes whom they don't even know, never charge one penny, investigate, gather the information, look through all the evidence, and then contact me and say, hey, look, this is out of our league. We need clergy involved. Anybody who calls themselves a Christian who attack people like that should be ashamed of themselves. Should absolutely be ashamed of themselves, because that's not a Christian behavior. And it's disturbing. It is very disturbing, but people do that. So I absolutely work with paranormal investigators because I have to. I have to depend on paranormal investigators to go to people's homes. I don't live in California or Florida or Texas or New York or Montana or Wisconsin. So I work with paranormal teams who go and investigate and gather the evidence and try to debunk. That's all it is, folks. So people who say, well, you're doing the work of the devil, you're doing the work. No, you're doing nothing except for opening your mouth and just spewing vomit. That's exactly what people who are doing it. They do nothing but sit behind the keyboard and attack people who are actually getting their butt out there and working. And that is the God's honest truth. So, what do you believe on UFO? I certainly do believe that there's something going on there. I do. I believe that there's just simply too much evidence. There's too much evidence right now to dismiss UFOs. Even the government has come. Yeah, well, there are cases that they can't explain. And as a matter of fact, there are 747 captains and pilots who've been on record. And they have gone on record and said, yep, this is what I saw. It was a metallic object. It was something that it was not man-made. They know. I mean, these are people that are very analytical. And so I think there's something going on. Oh, well, let's see. Well, no. Okay, well, Jez Hala. All right, Jez Hala. Welcome, and welcome to everybody. I think that's great. I think there we go. Yeah, we welcome everybody. Everybody's welcome here. So yeah, I just don't. There's something going on. There's something going on. So well, okay. Well, no. It's just not just haunted locations. We'll have all kinds of topics tonight. But here's the question that I have. A lot of people ask me about, is my house haunted? Well, let me just share this with you, and you can kind of figure out this. Again, this is from a website that I saw. I thought, well, this is interesting because there's some legitimacy here. And it's from Newsable. So this person says, this article says there are 6 ways to find out if you believe it is. And they said, we've all heard stories, and some of us have experienced unsettling circumstances in which we sense the presence of supernatural power. Our brain sensors inform us that there is something else in the room, but we can't see them since the temperature has changed. And however, most of us dismiss it, brush it aside, remain in denial, believing that it's most likely a result of the movies that we watch on sometimes, but just in case. This person says, here are some clues that a ghost may be present in the room that you're about to enter. So according to the Pew Research Center, 1 out of every 5 individuals has seen a ghost. And 1 out of every 3 people believe that a deceased friend or relative has visited them. That's pretty powerful. That's a lot. So here's one way to know that, according to this article, and I can agree with this, is a smell. Is there a strange, distinct odor that shouldn't be there? And they say, yep, you might have a visitor. It's frequently referred to as phantom smells. But before you leap into any judgments, have someone else scent the location. And when we miss someone, our extremely imaginative human brain tricks us into seeing or smelling things that are not there. So I have actually, and this is true, I've done this many times before. I've talked about this in all 30 exorcisms that I have performed on people who are violently possessed. I've always smelt roses. And that's because my Aunt Mary told me, when you smell roses, you know I'm going to be there. But I've also been into locations where there was this overwhelming sense, like a cigar smoke or perfume, cologne. And many people have experienced this. Now, can that be a demonic trying to entice you to communicate with it to then cause problems? Yes, it can. So this is where you need to be very, very careful, because a demon is able to use every trick, every tool in the toolbox to convince you that your loved one is there with you. And before you know it, now you're investigating your home, and that is a problem. And then people will start doing Ouija boards. They'll start doing cards, the tarot cards, or other devices to try to communicate with their loved ones. Folks, don't do that. Do not do that. Now, again, so the question is, what do I do? What happened? Then it's a simple acknowledge. Okay, so let's say your uncle or your dad loves cigar smoke, and nobody smokes cigar in your home at all. It's a smoke-free home, and you go to the whatever room, and he's on your mind, and you smell cigar smoke. Then acknowledge it, and move on, and move on. So you can acknowledge it by, okay, Dad, I know you're here, and I hope that you're at peace. I love you, and I'll see you when I'm in heaven. That's it. That's it. You're done. You don't need anything else. Don't do anything else. Because if you begin, a lot of people will do this. A lot of people get trapped into, oh, that's my dad, or that's my uncle, it's my friend. And then it entices you. And before you know it, now you are communicating with this thing you don't know who you're communicating with. What? The 1300? I don't understand what you're saying. So, something about, I don't know. Anyway, there's another thing, temperature drop. Now, I have experienced this. A demon can, yep, that's a good question. A demon can present itself as good energy. For example, what I mean by that is, I had a case once where a mom had lost her little boy. He was, God love him, he kicked the ball out in the street, and he went to go get the ball, and he was like 4 years old, and he got hit, and he died. Well, the mom was obviously devastated, and rightfully so, understandably so. So for 2 days, she was just inconsolable. I mean, it's terrible. But then after a couple of days, everything changed for her. She was laughing and smiling and talking about that her child was in the present tense, not in the past tense. Now, that people say, well, that could be trauma. That absolutely. But she was singing lullabies every night in his room. And she was holding him like this, or holding what appeared to be like a child. She was holding and just singing lullabies, his favorite lullaby. Well, the family asked me to get involved in this case, and I did. And when I got to the home, immediately there was something not right. It was the oppression. When you go to a place where there's a demonic that is present, I mean, you don't have to guess about this. There's no guessing involved. It's quite heavy. The oppression is very heavy. It just feels, there's a heaviness to it. And so I did several things, several EVP, several other items that I did. And we got some convincing evidence that this was not this mom's child. So while she was in her room, in the little boy's room, singing the lullaby, I kind of took my camera and I snapped a picture. And on this picture, we have a full body apparition of what appears to be her son. I mean, you can clearly see it. I mean, it looks like a full body apparition. You can't see can't see the eyes, and that's very common, especially with a human, because a demonic can mimic the human apparition, a loved one, to make you think, in fact, that it is that person or that child. And so we had to get involved. I began immediately saying, okay, we got to do the minor rite of exorcism and praying over her. What happened is that when she was younger, she played with a Ouija board. And at her most vulnerable, truly at her most vulnerable, that is when the demonic came forth and took the invitation that she gave. By, is anyone here? Can you make a noise? Can you, push? Can you, that kind of thing. Miss Wilma has, you must have just joined us there, Lady V. Miss Wilma has pneumonia. So it's a terrible thing, but it does happen. So anytime when I have a case and it appears to be a child, red flags. I'm not allowed to release the picture. The family will not allow me to release the picture. I asked the family if I could, for like during my paranormal conferences or demonology, because I talk about demonology, and they said no. So I respect that, but I mean, could I still do it? Yes, I could, because and the families know that if we gather the evidence belongs to us. So, but I just think it would be very disrespectful, and I'm not going to take advantage of people like that. So, I mean, I could, if I wanted to, I could release it and I could show it. But at the same time, they've asked me not to do it, and I'm going to respect that. The temperature drop, I have experienced this. Well, there are plenty of video footage of demons. There are plenty of video footage of people who are possessed. Unfortunately, I wish that they weren't. But people who have released them, I'm not in favor of that, because I don't think it's appropriate. I've told people this all the time. Look, I've been in college, in graduate school. I have multiple degrees. I don't get paid for this. I've never charged. I don't get salaried. And I've said this a million times. Look, none of you are paying for this. None of you are paying my salary, because I don't receive a salary. I receive nothing. If I did not know possession existed, I'd do something else with my time. I wouldn't be wasting my time on a topic that wasn't true. So I know there's a lot of people who want to dismiss it and say, oh, no, demons don't exist. If demons didn't exist, I guarantee. Here's the deal. And this is why I say that. I say that not to be braggadocious. I say it because there's no ulterior motive for me being here. If I was charging people and making a lot of money, then people could use that and say, well, aha, that's why you're doing this ministry, because you're pocketing, you're making a lot of money. I don't charge. Never have. Never will in over 20 years. Never have. You're doing it for fame. Again, you do things for fame so you can make a lot of money. So if I don't charge, it doesn't really do. It's kind of stupid, the idea of arguing that I do it for fame. I know it exists because I've seen it. And so I can't deny what I've seen. And I have said this a million times before. I am not here to prove to you that demons exist. Nope. I'm not here to prove that. I'm here to help the families who know they do. And that is a quote that I came up with that because I was so stressed. Over 20 years ago, people kept saying, prove it, prove it, prove it. And I was wanting to convince people, but then I was so stressed out about it. But then in prayer, I just felt that calm, and it just that thought, James, you are not here to prove that demons exist. You are here to help the families who know they do. And that's what I do. So, but a temperature drop is also one to know. I have seen many times, especially during an exorcism, there's always either a temperature drop or even an increase in temperature. There's a manipulation of the environment to try to throw you off, to try to cause this discomfort, whether it be extremely hot or extremely cold, which I have seen. As a matter of fact, I've had locations. We went to Waverly Hills. I went to Waverly Hills many, many times. And Waverly Hills, in the hospital itself, there's no electricity. So there's no air conditioning or anything like that. And me and Bishop David were walking downstairs on I think on the second floor where there is no electricity there, and or no air conditioning unit, I should say. And we were walking in the hallway, and as we were talking, I felt like something was watching us. I just felt like, boy, something is just weird. And the temperature dropped. I mean, it was hot. It was really, really, I think it was in the summer at that time. So in Kentucky, it gets hot in Kentucky and humid. But it felt like an air-conditioned room. Right where we were, it was the strangest experience. We went from, man, it is hot and it's uncomfortably hot and humid, really humid in Kentucky, to, man, who turned the air conditioner on? So that was, I've been in cases where it was demonic, where a manipulation of the temperature occurred, and then I've been into locations where it was not demonic, and the temperature changed. So it's pretty interesting. Oh, I love Psalm 91. It's the exorcist prayer. Yeah. Waverly Hills is amazing. Okay. Oh, you lived in a haunted house? That's amazing. A lot of people do, but temperature drop does occur, and I know it does because I've experienced it. Why do some people become possessed via one doorway, but others don't via the same doorway? What are the spiritual legalities that surround this? Is this a case? So it's interesting this whole terminology of what does the demon have the legal right? Well, first of all, that's absurd. We're not talking about legalities. Legalities is a civil term. That is a theological. When we're talking about demon possession, we have to talk about theological, not legal civil issues. So that really the terminology. What does the legal right? But doesn't have any legal right because they're not bound by civil law. So the terminology in of itself is inadequate and, quite honestly, erroneous. I would simply throw the whole, what does the demon have the legal right? Well, what are you going to sue? I understand what you're saying. I get it. But that is a terminology that is used, quite honestly, by the evangelical community. Again, that's fine. I just disagree with the terminology because it implies that there's a civil dissertation there, and it's simply not there. What is the moral right? What is the ethical right? Well, that's different than what is the legal right. So, and I understand what you're saying. So, for example, how is it that someone can play with a Ouija board and they become possessed, and then another person plays with a Ouija board and they don't become possessed? The answer is quite simple. Because demonic entities will attack you on their time, at your most vulnerable. At your most vulnerable. That is when the demonic entity will attack you. And so a person, let's say for you, I have a person A, and maybe they're going through some difficult times in life and they're already stressed, they're already anxious. And I'm trying to get to as many questions as I can. So just bear with me, everybody. So I understand that, let's say you go, that what person A has a lot of issues going on in their life. Okay. They're already stressed. They're already anxious, and they play with a Ouija board. And then they immediately have an attachment, and the possession and the second stage of oppression and obsession begins to attack the intellect and will. Remember, the person has already been beaten down. Perhaps maybe they lost their wife or husband. Maybe they're already suffering from depression. There's a variety of elements there you have to include as to discern why the person has become possessed. So person A may have a lot of issues going on in their life, which leads to the possibility of possession, because perhaps maybe they're more vulnerable than perhaps maybe person B, who is not vulnerable, who is not in emotional, mental state or stressed or whatever it might be. So the demonic, it takes a little bit more time. Demonic entities are opportunistic. They're going to wait until the opportune time before they attack. And so that's the problem right there. People say to me all the time, well, I play with Ouija boards all my life and nothing's ever happened. Then I say to them, yet. Because the demonic entity will attack you on their time, not yours. So, for example, let's say in the year 2023, someone plays with a Ouija board. Their life is going great. They just want to do it because they want to do it. All right. Well, demonic entities may not attack that person until 10 years later, 2033, when that person now loses their home, loses their job, has a divorce or all kinds of emotional trauma in their life. And then the demonic entity says, oh, by the way, remember the invitation you gave me when you played with that Ouija board? Is there anyone here? Can you make a noise? Can you do any stuff? I accept the invitation now. You see, that's how demons work. Demons do not work because I demand you to do this right now. The demons don't work on your time. Demons work on their time. And so the fallacy is when you, and it really is, it's a danger. There's an element of danger there because it gives you that perhaps a false sense of security, knowing that I can play with a Ouija board and nothing ever happens. And then to do it again and do it again and do it again. And you repeat that cycle over and over and over. And you say, well, nothing has ever happened, so therefore I can continue to do it. Well, that's, let's use the analogy of someone running the light or running a red light over and over and over. Oh, I've always gotten away with it until one time you run a red light and the police is sitting right there. You see, that's the problem. People get complacent and their defenses are then lowered because pattern has set in. And once the pattern has set in and the false security is implemented in the brain, and then now before you know it, you run the next red light, not a police officer. Because let's say you run the first red light and you're going 10 miles over the speed limit. And then now, well, I got away with that. Now 15, now 20, now 20. See how it escalates. And it's very dangerous, very dangerous. That's right. Absolutely. So does that mean that the right opportunity might not present itself with everyone who uses it? The opportune time, again, it just depends. The demonic entities know if what you're struggling with, how weak you are. Are you vulnerable? So they're going to attack you at your most vulnerable state, emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, and they will wait. They're very patient. Remember, they exist outside of time and space. So you're right, and you're feeding into the board. You can you invite demons through alcoholic addiction? Any type of addiction is very dangerous because you are then reducing the thought process of making, obviously clear-minded, not doing things you shouldn't do. So can a demonic entity use your addictions to cause oppression? No doubt about it. And they did that to me. I've talked about this before. I was 420 pounds at one time. 420 pounds. Because if I stress, I always went to chocolate. Or sweets. If I was bored, sweets. If I was sad, sweets. Depressed, sweets. Happy, whatever it might be, whatever emotion you want to throw in there, I went to sweets. Chocolate. I love chocolate. And the demonic was using that addiction to the point where when I did Exorcism Live on the Travel Channel in 2015 at the Exorcist house, I was 420 pounds. I was slowly dying. And so that's why I said, that's it. That's it. I've got to fix it. I've changed my entire life, and you have to. So the only thing, and I do appreciate an individual who sent me some cookies. Thank you very much for that. The only thing that I actually indulge in as far as sweets is this is hard to find. It's the Fiber One, the oatmeal raisin cookies. These are the only thing the sweets that I ever indulge in. That's it. Otherwise, it's always sugar-free. I can't find these suckers anywhere. In Kentucky, they don't exist. I don't know why. But these are the best. The best. Love them. But they're hard to find. So, and I drink a lot of water. A lot of these. So this is my 12th one today. So this is 20 fluid ounces. So I drink a lot of water. And it's important. It's very, very important that you stay hydrated. Yeah, the brownie ones are good too. I had an extreme sugar addiction. Absolutely, I did. And it was just like caffeine. Caffeine is you can ask a question, but instead of saying, can you ask, just go ahead and ask. Because if the problem is so, please understand, for everybody, I have 3 different computer screens. So people are slamming me with Facebook Messenger questions and Twitter questions, and then Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and then Clapper, and then over here on TikTok. So just throw the question out there. Yeah. I try to look for Amazon. I can't. I looked. I don't know why I'm not. I looked at Amazon the other day, but it said for $45 for one pack. I'm like, one pack, they're $5. It's like, I'm not gonna. So anyway, I don't know. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do drink a lot of water. That's the key. A lot of water. How did I break my sugar addiction? Because I realized that if I didn't stop, that I was going to die. So and again, yeah, these have sugar in it, but I've learned. I've completely turned my entire life around by learning nutrition. Because I didn't realize how much sugar I was putting into my body, and I was putting a lot of sugar, and it was affecting me. Uh, I can't drink regular water. I have little packets, like lemonade packets. So there we go. Yeah, water is absolutely essential. Well, good. Jennifer, Jennifer Bailey, sober a year and a half. That is great. Congratulations. That's terrific. Well, here's what I'm going to say. If any type of sugar addiction or anything, you always need to speak to your doctor and get with a nutritionist, and obviously you have to do that. I have hypoglycemia. So for my issue, the sugar issue was very important, but it was also very dangerous too, because I've had to learn all about hypoglycemia and what it does. And so when I had to learn about nutrition and sugar intake and how it affects my hypoglycemia, that's just one added issue. Hypoglycemia is the opposite of diabetes. So for example, I could be talking right now. Good, everything's good, full of energy. Woo, let's go. And bam, my sugar level will drop to 0. And I am lethargic to a point where I can barely even lift my head. So that's why I had to see a nutritionist and learn nutrition, and then how to deal with that, and how I was able, because there are things that you can take when I know that I'm having recognizing the signs of sugar withdrawal. And so if you recognize the signs and you realize that, okay, I'm going into a sugar, I immediately, take care of that, because it's important. It's important. So that's what I learned. It was very important for me to learn, okay, when I started going to a hypoglycemic or sugar withdrawal, usually my body gives me some signs. I could be shaky. I could start feeling lightheaded, a headache sometimes. I knew that there was something going on. I just, something wasn't right. And so I kept, making notes of that when I had the hypoglycemic attack, and I saw a pattern. And so that's when I've learned how to do it. So, okay. So, oh yeah, they did. The water there, I have no issue. Water is very important to me. As a matter of fact, I have also learned, I've never in my life, and this is the have you ever seen the 600-pound life? I think that's what it's called on television, TLC. I gotta admit, as a person who was 420 pounds at one time, I always got really upset when I would see these people gorge. I mean, a whole entire plate full of food, and then 3 pizzas and just stuffing it in. And I really got irritated with that, because to me, it's like, then people's perception of people who are morbidly obese is that we're all shoving food in our face all day long. And I really had a problem with that, because everybody who is morbidly obese is not sitting there shoving food in their face all day long. And as a matter of fact, there have actually been people who are on that show who have sued the network, because claiming that the producers kept egging them on, in the beginning, just eat as much as you want, here, eat more. So there have actually been lawsuits filed against that show, which I didn't know. But I have never once in my entire life, never once have I ever sat down and ate an entire pizza. Never. My issue was never gorging, ever. I ate Subway. I didn't really like McDonald's. I don't really do fast food. I eat a lot of Subway, bread, carbs, but I never really like the whole entire pizza. Never. I never did that. So my issues with sugar. And before you know it, if you're eating, 2 or 3 candy bars, let's say I was hungry for lunch, and instead of eating protein, a healthy protein, if I eat a couple of candy bars, well, that's a problem, you know? Yeah, even a half pizza. I've never eaten a whole pizza or even a half pizza. The most I've ever eaten was 3 slices of pizza at Papa John's. That's the most I've ever eaten, even when I was 420 pounds. So, okay. By the way, let's say, for example, you're living in a location and you think that your home might be haunted. One thing to note: sometimes, and this does the phone battery will completely zap. Now, yes, there could be some issues with that. There could also be an explanation that's logical. But I have noticed, according to NewJersey.com, ghosts require energy to present themselves, according to Doug Hogate Jr., founder of the New Jersey Unique Minds Paranormal Society. They say ghosts are supposed to communicate through electricity, like turning on and off the lights for similar reasons, he explained. You have someone in the home, if you have your phone fully charged, and it drains swiftly overnight in an unusual way without being used. Now, could that be, is there a logical explanation? Yep, the battery could be just bad in your phone. But I have noted, many years ago, about 15 years ago, I had a team and we were out investigating. And a buddy of mine bought I think a $10,000 or $15,000 FLIR camera. I forgot how much it was, but it was a lot of money. I mean, this was big bucks back then. The FLIR cameras were very expensive 15 years ago. I mean, now you can get them for a reasonable price, but back then, no, they were very, very expensive. And he was so excited he was just, and I had just my digital recorder, just simple that, it's a $20 digital recorder. And he was like, oh man, I'm going to do it. And I think we were at the Gates of Hell Cemetery. And he's like, I'm going to do this. And this is going to be the greatest. And he was so proud of that. And I said, dude, this is a very bad mistake. You do realize as soon as you walk into that place, you're not going to be able to use that. And of course, he didn't understand a whole lot about investigation. Oh yes, I will. I'll catch a major. Oh, he was kind of making fun of me because I was coming in with a $20 digital recorder, and he was coming in with a $15,000 FLIR camera. Well, as soon as we went into the Gates of Hell Cemetery, his battery on that FLIR camera zapped from 100% to 0 in a matter of seconds. And oh man, so he got another battery pack and he put it in there, and he just thought it was a bad battery. So as soon as he put it in there, he turned it on, it did it right again. So his $15,000 FLIR camera was absolutely useless. Useless. But that has happened. That absolutely 1,000,000% has happened. And if you're a paranormal investigator, you know that's absolutely true. Also, let's say if you're in a location and noises, pay attention to noises. Yeah, it says here, we've all seen in movies when unexplained noises suggest the presence of the supernatural. If you don't have any rodent problems or animals that can make specific noises, you already know what it signifies. It's worth looking into anything that appears out of nowhere. Maybe it's simply a piece of old wood blowing about in the wind, or the house creaking, but you have to investigate. And it's true. That is true. If you have had people who hear, I had a case once where the family was terrified, legitimately terrified, because they would hear bangings in the wall. I mean, really, bangings. And they thought that someone was banging on the wall like it was a demon, and they were terrified. They were legitimately terrified. So they got us involved, and we investigated. And there was a person there who was also who did house repairs, and he was big into construction. Now, he was able to debunk it because there were pipes in this particular home that when they clamped together, because when they made it, he was able to show somehow, some equipment he had, that when they turned the water heater on, that they would clank and they would hit. And it would sound like, through the drywall, it would sound like someone was actually banging. So we were able to debunk that, which is important. But there are times when you have cases where you have noises, and you have to say, okay, there's something going on there, especially if you have what's called disembodied voices. Disembodied voices that's really creepy. A disembodied voice is, for example, if you're investigating and you hear someone say, hey, or hello or something. You actually hear it. Now, when you hear things like that, that's creepy. I was at Waverly Hills, and I was in the tunnel, the death tunnel they call it there. And the reason is they have that is because so many people were dying from tuberculosis at Waverly Hills that what they would do is they would take the remains, the corpse of the people who passed away, and they would go to the tunnel and go all the way down through this tunnel, and then a hearse would meet them down there because what was happening is so many people were dying that hearses would pull up to the front, and all the patients could see it. The hearses pull up and they put another a body in there, and so that was affecting people's their morale. So they had the tunnel, the death tunnel, to where they would take these bodies down the body chute. And then at the very end, it's a long, long, long tunnel. Then that's where they would meet the hearse, and so no one could see it. I've been in that tunnel many times, many times. And one time I was investigating there with Bishop David, and it was very quiet, and we just this breathing. And I looked at David and I said, did you just do that? Nope. I mean, we clearly heard it. I mean, it was unbelievable. And that was a pretty intense a catch. Pretty intense. At least I think it was. Knocking of pipes. There it is. Okay. Let me just say this for those of you who don't know, I'm going to have to check this movie out. I don't know when this is coming out. Let me just check this. Hold on one second. I am going to see the Evil Dead movie, just so I can give you guys a. Thank you very much, there, Corey. Just so I can give you an update on it. But this is by BJ the Web Guy, and it says one of the upstate New York's scariest legends featured in new movie The Unbinding. So it says here, the woods in upstate New York are home. Upstate New York is beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's beautiful in upstate New York. But the woods in upstate New York are home to some seriously spooky things, including one object known as the Catskills Crone. It says we've all heard the stories about why we shouldn't go into those dark places in the woods. Yes, they may be home of the wild animals, but be careful what you bring out of the woods as well. You never know what type of paranormal activity you may be bringing with you. An all-new movie from the paranormal power couple Greg and Dana Newkirk debuted a teaser trailer that features a very similar face here in upstate New York, the Catskill Crone. So the Newkirks also operate their traveling museum and paranormal occult. According to the website, this is the backstory of the mysterious object. While trekking off the beaten path in New York Catskills Mountain, two hikers discovered this strange hand-carved statue in a small cave. 6 rusty nails had been driven into its eyes, and a dirty length of cord was wrapped tightly around its neck. Despite their better judgment, the explorers removed the figure. No, you're never supposed to do that. So taking the object was a big mistake because a ton of paranormal activity followed them home. And that would include muddy footprints in the home, the smell of pond water in their home, shadow figures. It says if you're a paranormal researcher, you know that those things mean serious business. So what do? They sent the object off to Greg and Dana to investigate. So apparently this movie is Unbinding. Have you seen that? Have you guys seen that? I'm going to have to The Unbinding. I didn't even know. There's so many movies I don't have a whole lot of time to watch movies. I wish I did. Let me see if I can The Unbinding trailer. Okay, here it is. So let's watch it. The first time I've ever seen this. Never seen it before. So I'm watching it now. Okay, they're hiking in the Catskills. Okay. They're in the cave and they found this statue. A noose around its neck. You should probably leave it alone. It's pretty creepy. I mean, the cinematography is pretty amazing already. So he's talking about devil worshippers and the possibility. I don't know. They took it home. I actually have quite a few paranormal haunted objects, quite a few. This looks like a pretty interesting movie. It's called The Unbinding. Oh, I didn't know if I'm gonna have to check to see where it's playing. Is this coming soon? It says okay. Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out when it's supposed to be released. The chilling trailer for supernatural horror documentary. Okay, The Unbinding documentary release date, maybe. Let's figure out when it is. An hour 38 minutes. Okay. It's the Unbinding movie production status is currently completed, April 12th, 2023. And this looks like a pretty interesting movie. I'm definitely going to watch it and give you guys a movie review. I just don't know where it's going to be playing or when it's going to be playing. There's no release date, it looks like. Pretty interesting. So I do have quite a few items that are haunted items that people have purchased, and then they brought it home, and then the paranormal activity was quite violent in their home. And so it's just called The Unbinding. It's called The Unbinding documentary. So so the woman is not going to most likely not giving insurance. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you might want to check that out. I'm gonna be looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't know if it's lagging. That must be a TikTok thing because everybody else is fine. Okay. Here's a question from Mary Kiroli, I think. Is this New York jail haunted? Spend the night and find out. I would. I'll do it. It says, I thought of going. I thought of going to jail is scary as heck. Yeah. What's even more terrifying is the thought of going to jail that has been known to be haunted. Well, now you can pay to spend the night in a haunted New York jail. You going, the person says, the Haunted Nights Paranormal Events Company will be opening the cell doors to one of the most notoriously haunted jailhouses in New York State and inviting you to spend the night to see what happens. The paranormal investigators from Haunted Nights have been featured on the Travel Channel, Disney Plus, and more. Now they're giving you the opportunity to join them at the historic Old Washington County Jail. This place hasn't been in use in approximately 30 years, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been any activity. On Friday, May 19th, 2023, so that's when it's going to happen. May 19th, 2023, the Haunted Nights investigators will gather with some brave souls for a paranormal investigation at 58 East Broadway in Salem, New York. It says if you're interested in not only visiting but sleeping overnight in the jail, this is for you. I would do this. They say there are two separate ticket options: general admission and VIP. The general admission session is a 3-hour experience from 8 to 11. The VIP investigation will run from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. At the conclusion of the investigation, you will have the option to sleep at the jailhouse, and the entire event concludes at 9 a.m. So general admission starts at $40, VIP at $90. So, yeah, I mean, heck, I would do that and then run the show. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? We could run the show there, and I'm all about it. Yeah, I'd have to raise money. Yeah, that's the problem. Sometimes when you have events like this, when people have big events like this, they'll bring in somebody who's been in the paranormal community for a long time and say, "Yep, come on in and we'll fly you up here and take care of it." A lot of times, a lot of people will do that. So, but I would. There's a lot of places I would love to go to. Someone asked me about another location. I haven't gone to that. I would, again, if there's a location that's haunted, or if you know somebody who owns a place that's allegedly haunted, I would go to that location and do a show right there for everybody. But, and Yeah. So let's see. What is this one here? Yeah, I've seen this before. I don't know if you've heard about this. This is by Joe Griffin. Viewers spot a little girl in dress during a paranormal group's live stream at a haunted dance studio. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it says viewers of paranormal groups live stream at a supposedly haunted dance studio believe they spotted the ghost of a little girl in a dress during the recording. Paranormal Findings UK is a group that travel mainly around the East Midlands in the search of paranormal activity and live stream their experiences to thousands of Facebook followers. Now, during a recent visit to the dance studio in Newark, the group fired up a live stream and encouraged viewers to screenshot any paranormal sightings. One image captured by a viewer left the group stunned. They claim that it shows a little girl in a dress who appears to be dancing. Sia Noon, a member of the Paranormal Findings UK, said, "My sister works at the studio and said sometimes she'd be in here on there on her own to hear things." The owner also said that she would hear doors shutting and could feel somebody there, so she allowed us to go in. The group also went to a hospital in Sleaford, I guess this is in UK last week, an abandoned mental institution. I tell you what, the energy at the abandoned mental institutions, that's intense. I've been to a couple of them. It is very, very intense. There's a lot of, you watch that on Travel Channel? Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, apparently there's, that's interesting. You know, people ask me a lot, what about are there any paranormal movies where it's not blood and all this other stuff and guts and gore and all this? If you want to know more about the church, you can just simply go to usocc.org, usocc.org. Okay. Well, there are movies. There are 12 non-gory, scary movies to watch, maybe with tweens or teenagers or something. This is by Jamie Marshall, and I think this is a pretty decent list. It says here, even as a teenager or young preteen, I remember having an affinity for scary movies. However, I was always repulsed by gore, she says. If your child is mature enough to handle horror movies without getting traumatized, but you don't want them to see a ton of blood and guts. Well, she said, these are the 12 non-gory, scary movies you can watch together for a fun, spooky night. So one movie is called Coraline. I've seen that. It's 2009. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting movie. Basically, it's a PG-rated animated movie. Isn't an explicit horror film per se, but it's a very creepy drama with horror undertones that are appropriate for younger kids, according to her. Coraline is an adventurous young girl who discovers a hidden door in her new home, which leads her to an alternate version of her life. Everything is like a cartoon kind of a thing. It's animated. Everything seems perfect in this other world, but things turn dark when Coraline discovers that her other mother and it's true, and the alternate reality are not what they seem. It is it's an interesting movie. It is an interesting movie. Okay, cool. Movie Insider has a running list of movies that are yet to have released. Oh, excellent. Okay. Here's another movie. I have seen The Pope's Exorcist. I did a movie review on that not last week, not this past Friday, but last week. Insidious, 2010. I think that's a little scarier, though. I don't know if I'd want my teen to watch Insidious, but it's a family moves into a new home, but their son falls into a coma shortly thereafter. They soon discover that evil spirits haunt their house, and they must call in a team of paranormal experts to save their son and rid their home of the evil presence. This is a much more adult-level horror film than the previously mentioned Coraline, but since I was 13 when I first saw this and fell in love with it. The movie is rated PG-13, so it may be more disturbing to tweens, but Insidious is a classic jump scare movie without any explicit gore. I don't have children, but I don't know if I would have my child watch Insidious. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a good movie, but I don't know. The Conjuring, 2013. I wouldn't have my child watch this, but this is non-gory horror film. The Conjuring follows the paranormal investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Yes, I knew Lorraine. I did not know Ed, as they help a family that's being terrorized by demonic presence in their home. Based on a true story, the Warrens try to uncover the source of the haunting, and they face one of the most powerful and terrifying entities that have they ever encountered. This is a great one for older teens, but it may be too disturbing for tweens because it's rated R, and I agree. I want to let you guys know this. I encourage you, I strongly encourage you, if you love paranormal, if you love reading books, and even if, let's say that you're not really big on reading books because maybe it doesn't grab your attention, or it can't grab your attention as much as you would like, I strongly encourage you to read the Dark Siege books. So, folks, it is truly, I think, one of the best series out there. And it's my friend Jason McLeod is the author, and you can go to darksiege.com. That's DARKSIEGE.com. These books are amazing, guys. I'm telling you, there are very few books that I will recommend to people because a lot of them are just junk. He actually worked with the Warrens. And Dark Siege, he asked me to read them and even to endorse or not to endorse. And I read them, and I'm telling you, Dark Siege these are books that you're not going to be able to put down. I give you my word. The way he writes is brilliant. He is so descriptive in his writing that when you're reading it, you actually can see yourself in this scene. I mean, it's just that intense. And it's called darksiege.com. Really, truly. Watch it. And okay, it's all right. Be kind. Really, that's a nasty thing to say. Another person making a kid joke. Why? Again, I wish I could bring you on and just talk to you and explain to you by saying things like that. That is some of the most hateful, hurtful things you can say. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. I don't know. But Dark Siege, DARKSIEGE.com. And that is where you definitely need to get the books. You're going to love it. This book, now I do love this movie. I absolutely love it. And it's called The Others. 2001. This is truly, people ask me, this is probably one of my favorite all-time favorite movies. The Others, since it's set in 1945 on the island of Jersey. The Others follow a mother and her two children living in a remote, dark mansion. Strange things begin to happen, and they soon realize that their house is haunted by spirits that seem to be trying to communicate with them. It's rated PG-13. The movie maintains a spooky atmosphere by building tension with creepy suspense, but it's not excessively violent or graphic. But boy, it does have an amazing twist at the end, doesn't it? Oh, I would love that, Janelle. That would be beautiful. Thank you. That would be absolutely, I would appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that would be very kind, Janelle. The best way to, if that's, yeah, I would, that would be very cool. But that's the best address there to send that to. Thank you for doing that. I'll leave that up for a little bit. Godfrey, I don't know. Okay. So again, 1945, that's when it's set in. So there you go. Janelle, were you able to put that down? Because otherwise I'll take that off the, okay. Another movie is called Tremors, a 1990 movie. It's in a small town in Nevada. The residents must fight for their lives. When giant underground monsters begin attacking them, with the help of a few unlikely heroes, they must figure out how to defeat the creatures and save the town. This comedy horror earned itself a PG-13 rating. It's relatively tame compared to the other horror films on this list because it incorporates a lot of humor. So I agree. So I've seen that one too. Okay. Also, if you have a question, just go ahead and ask. Sleepy Hollow, 1999. But remember, folks, I have 3 different computers running at the same time. That means 3 different monitors. So just got to be patient. So Sleepy Hollow, 1999. It's set. I love movies. Time timeline movies like 1799, 1850 movies. I love movies like that. Love it. That's set in the time. That to me, there's something special about it. But it's set in 1799. Sleepy Hollow follows Ichabod Crane as he investigates a series of murders in the town of Sleepy Hollow. He soon discovers that a headless horseman is committing the murders and must find a way to stop him before he strikes again. This Tim Burton directed horror movie is rated R for graphic violence and a brief nudity, so it may only be appropriate for older teens, according to this particular website. Okay, thank you very much. I'll take that off. Thank you. It's very nice of you, Janelle. Yeah, let's not do that, Brand. No, we're not going to do that because that could be defamation, and so we're going to. Yeah, I'm not going to allow that. You got to be careful. Well, I know you may promise it's true, but no, we're not doing that. We're not throwing in shade because I don't know this guy, so no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, I don't like that. I just don't do that. I don't know who that person is, and I just think and I understand you may say it's true, but I don't like people trolling me, and I don't like people, if there are issues, then you need to address that with the police. But we're not going to come on live and attack somebody publicly because that could be defamation. And that could be that could be a lawsuit. So I would encourage you not to make public statements like that. It has nothing. They're not making public statements about me. They're asking about another clergy member. And you got to understand, free speech doesn't mean you're allowed to defame someone's character. That's not free speech. It's actually illegal. So people got to understand that just because we have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you can say anything and everything, because that's slander. Slander is not protected under free speech. So no, I don't do that. Not here. I don't put up with that. Okay. Signs, the movie Signs 2002. I love M. Night Shyamalan's, I think that's how you say his last name. I love his movies. I saw the movie A Cabin at the Door or Knock at the Door or something about the cabin. I forgot what it was. But I got to tell you something. That movie wasn't your typical M. Night movies. Always when M. Night, when he does movies, there's a big twist at the end. But that Knock at the Cabin, I think it's called, or something, I'm telling you, it will throw you off because it's straightforward. It's straightforward. Dark Siege, Kurt. I just talked about that. Darksiege.com. Yep, that's where you need to check out, Kurt. Darksiege.com. There's 2 books, and I encourage you to check that out. Megan. Now, I did see that movie. I think people who are concerned about artificial intelligence should watch this movie. I saw that, and it really is interesting. 2023, Megan is the most modern horror movie on the list, about a young girl who develops a relationship with a lifelike artificial intelligence doll named Megan. However, as the relationship deepens, Megan starts to exhibit dangerous and unpredictable behavior as her creator loses control over her. The film was a blast. I agree. It was good to see. It's a fun camp horror movie that's both unsettling and hilarious. It has a PG-13, and while it does contain some graphic violence, it's nothing excessive gory. Megan is very interesting. It does. I'm concerned with AI too. I'm telling you, we got to get a whole hand on the artificial intelligence. If we don't, we're going to get into some trouble. The next movie that doesn't have a lot of gore in it, I'll answer your question in just a second. The Fog, 1980. The Fog takes place in a small coastal town in California that's haunted by a group of vengeful ghosts who were killed in a shipwreck 100 years ago. I think there was a remake to this. As the fog rolls in, the ghosts seek revenge on the descendants of those who caused their deaths. It's rated R. The movie does contain some brief nudity, graphic violence, so it's really not recommended for tweens, as they are. The Shining. I mean, The Shining is one of the best. 1980, only recommended for older teens. The site says The Shining follows a family who moves to a remote hotel in the mountains for the winter so the father can work as the caretaker. As the family becomes isolated in the hotel, they begin to experience strange and terrifying events that drive the father to the brink of insanity. I'm just wondering how many, you're welcome, Kurt, how many of you would go to a hotel, let's say that was as big as the hotel in The Shining, for an entire winter, where winter starts in September and goes all the way to May. And you had to stay there. And we're talking blizzard, feet, we're talking feet of snow, not just feet. How many of you would feel comfortable taking your family? Let's say you have a couple kids, and let's just say it's just you and a couple kids. Maybe you don't have a partner. Maybe you don't have a husband or wife or partner. Maybe you have to go there by yourself. Would you, I've never been to the Stanley. I mean, that's to have that big, gigantic hotel, and then you can't really go out. There's nothing you can do. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't, it's not like you can just go and leave. You have $1 million to be stranded on the Stanley. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. You're a chicken. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? I've never seen it. I've never been to the Stanley Vault. That's definitely a place I'd like to go. But what's interesting, however, is the Shining was not filmed in the Stanley Hotel. So a lot of people don't know that, which is, Jax is running a poll. Yeah. It wasn't the Shining. And now the reason is they talk about the Shining is, or the Stanley. It was because of, that's where the author lived there or stayed for a while. But yeah, it wasn't in the Stanley. That's the actual hotel itself. So yeah, I filmed in Oregon. And many people don't know that, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Still, the Stanley is a pretty cool place to go visit, but it was actually, from my understanding, if those of you who don't know that, it was filmed in what is called the Timberline Lodge. Oh, so we got half and half. Wow. So they've got about half and half there. It was actually, you can look this up. It's called the Timberline Lodge, and that's where it was actually filmed. It wasn't filmed in the Stanley. It's a beautiful hotel, absolutely beautiful. But during the winter, I mean, my goodness, there are pictures you could actually look online. I mean, when we're talking snow, it is snow, but it's Timberline, Timberline, Timberline Lodge. That is actually where it was, where most of it, the exterior shots were used to portray the Overlook Hotel. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And another one says Krampus. Krampus is a cool movie. 2015. Krampus is a horror comedy that follows a dysfunctional family who is visited by Krampus, a demonic creature who punishes those who have lost the Christmas spirit. As the family members try to survive the night, they have to come together to fight Krampus and his minions. This is a fun horror twist for your annual Christmas film viewing traditions. Krampus is rated PG-13, so it's appropriate for young teens. I think Krampus is a cool movie. I don't know how, I've never been to the Stanley. I've been to Colorado once. I loved it. Love. Actually, I went there with a couple friends, and we went on one of the mountains where a lot of people claim to see Bigfoot. And that was just, man, when I went there, here I am right in a mountain of Colorado. And I'm thinking to myself, there are bears. There are big cats in here. We're not the big dogs here. But I could not help think about my St. John Denver. So here I am hopping up there and thinking about, Colorado Mountain High. And it was amazing. The other movie that they say you should take a look at if you don't like a lot of gory movies is Child's Play, a 1988 movie. The Child's Play tells the story of a young boy who receives a doll named Chucky for his birthday, not realizing the soul of a serial killer who possesses it. So as Chucky begins to wreak havoc, the boy and his mother must find a way to stop him before it's too late. It's rated R because it contains many adult themes like adult language, graphic violence, sexual innuendos. However, there is no nudity or excessive Saw-level gore. So there you go. That is your little, and of course, there's other movies too. Anybody else have a movie that you think is kind of like it's scary, but Cloverfield? Well, not Cloverfield. That you like, that's a scary movie that doesn't have a lot of gore in it. You know, I think honestly, this is kind of a reason why I like the Halloween 1 movie. Remember that in the 70s, the original one, the original Halloween movie, because there wasn't gore. It wasn't a lot of gore at all in Halloween. In the 1970s movie, it was just intense. The music was brilliant. And not only was the music brilliant, but it wasn't, so gory and all this other stuff. It was the intent of Michael Myers stalking his victim. And to me, I thought it was brilliantly done. Yeah, the others, like we talked about, that was on. So what other movie? The Entity, Beetlejuice. Yeah, Beetlejuice is a good one. Halloween 2. I agree. The original one, 1978. You're starting to get into a little bit more gore than the Halloween than the first one, but to me, it's pretty cool. As a matter of fact, a buddy of mine, let me show you. He makes these things, and because I love Halloween, and so he made. Isn't that cool? That is really neat. So this is the original house of the Michael Myers, the Halloween. Yeah, he just made this. It's a paper mache, and he makes all kinds of houses from all kinds of movies. So the movies that are in haunted home, that are in scary, homes or scary movies. So yeah, pretty cool. It is. Yeah, it was really. The detail is amazing. It truly is. The detail is amazing. So, okay, I'm gonna put this back up here. Yeah, it's a neat thing. Really, it really is neat. The Orphanage is a good one. Okay, so we got it's almost half an hour. So would you stay in a hotel all winter alone? And almost 60% said no. 40% said yes. Well, that's interesting. Some people say nope. I'm not going to happen. Not going to get it. And I get it. Some people, you're just, when it comes to paranormal stuff, when it comes to being, and I think being alone is what a lot of people might be scared about. And I get that. For those of you who are like this event, I want to share this with you. This is from Uncovering Florida. For those of you who don't know, it's the world's largest ghost hunt. We'll be returning to Florida this fall, in case you haven't heard. So the article says this: considering yourself a connoisseur of all paranormal locations in Florida, a record-setting ghost hunt will make its way back to the Sunshine State this fall, taking place at a location that's been featured on the Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. I was on Bobby Mackey's. So on the last Saturday of the month in September, also known as National Ghost Hunting Day. I've never liked the term ghost hunting. Anyway, History and Haunts and War Party Paranormal invite 40 patrons out to be a part of the world's largest ghost hunt for another year at Yesteryear Village to investigate the Riddle House. I would like to go to the Riddle House. That would be very, very cool to do that. Alongside a list of other participating locations across the world, those investigating the Riddle House as a part of the world's largest ghost hunt will simultaneously investigate their areas, participating property to set a 2023 record. You'll have access to War Party's paranormal array of equipment as they lead you on the hunt down the home's haunted halls. Built in 1905, the Riddle House was once known as the Gatekeeper's Cottage, serving as the homekeeper that oversaw care of the Woodlawn Cemetery across the street. First used as a funeral parlor and later become a private residence before, can you imagine? Before being moved from its original spot at 327 Acacia whatever street, to its now permanent display and historical preservation at West Palms Beach Yesteryear Village. This would be a neat place, so that the home has been the stage of its own share of tragedy too, including suicide by hanging in the attic as a result of a home's employer's insurmountable financial problems during the Great Depression. Its events in chronicling an episode of Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures has increased interest in the location, with visitors seeking to wonder it in the dark of night. Well, that would be I've never been there, but I would like to go to other locations like this. I just really don't know a whole lot of people who own paranormal locations, houses or place like this that own it. I do know Kristen, who owns the Bel Air House in Bel Air, Ohio. And I was actually planning to go to Bel Air, Ohio, and do a live show there. The Bel Air house was featured on The Haunting, or A Haunting. And I was planning on doing a live show there, an investigation, but my Jeep decided to act stupid. And so I'm still waiting for that to be, a buddy of mine has, we're ordering a part. It seems like it's taking forever. So as soon as we can get that part in, then hopefully we'll see if we can get this Jeep fixed. But I've never been to the Sloss Furnace. Never. But again, I would like to go. That problem is it's very expensive. And I would go to these locations and promote them by the show. We would do a live show. But I'm not a very good person when it comes to the managing and all that stuff. So, but that's just, what are you going to do? Listen to this. This is kind of crazy. This is really weird. And tell me what you think about this. I try to watch the movie Supernatural, but it just didn't grab my attention. I just didn't. Wasn't one of those things. Yeah, Phenomenal with John Travolta. I agree. That was a good movie. Okay, listen to this. This is by Oddity Central. A pastor finally buried after 2 years after his death because family awaited his resurrection. A South African pastor, Siva Moodley, died in 2021, but his body was only laid to rest this month after spending almost 600 days at a mortuary because his family and parishioners were expecting him to come back to life. Siva Moodley, the founder of the Miracle Center in Gauteng or something north of Johannesburg, died on August 15, 2021 after falling ill. However, instead of making preparations for his funeral, his family simply left his body at a mortuary awaiting his resurrection. His wife and other members of the family came to the mortuary to pray for his return, but they stopped coming a few months after his death and refused to give their consent for Moodley's burial or cremation. To make matters worse, they even refused to acknowledge the pastor's death within the church, conducting services in his place until the day he decided to come back to life. As months passed and the Siva Moodley's body remained in the mortuary, the owners started contacting the family trying to obtain their consent for burial or cremation, stating on numerous occasions that failing to dispose of the body in a timely manner posed serious health and environmental risk. And they failed to obtain the Moodley's consent. And soon the deceased pastor's family stopped replying entirely. And in the end, the only option available for the mortuary was legal action against the family. Quote, "It is a civil matter. I cannot make the decision to bury or cremate him on my own," the mortuary owner said. "It has to come from the family, but they are not saying anything. He was a well-known man and does not deserve this kind of treatment. I hope the court can provide some relief." So court documents show that Siva Moodley's widow, Jessie, explained her family's reluctance to consent to the pastor's funeral by claiming that she had a vision of the religious leader coming back to life. However, after seeing evidence that the family had been contacted a total of 28 times about the man's body and receiving reports from local authorities about the health hazards posed by the body, the Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg authorized a mandatory burial or cremation. The court's decision was suspended for a month so that it could be served on Moodley's immediate family. And the funeral home clarified that they did not want to infringe on anyone's religious freedom, but they also had to abide by health regulations. So on March the 16th, recently, Stephen Moodley's body was finally laid to rest at West Park Cemetery in Johannesburg in the presence of his siblings and extended family. His wife and 2 children did not attend the ceremony. South African media report that they continue to lead the Miracle Center in the pastor's place, and there is also no mention of Woodley's passing on the Christian Ministry's social media. That is insanity. That is, you know what? Oh, I would absolutely. Now, Janine, the Ohio absolutely. Ohio Reformatory, I would love. That is definitely on the bucket list. I would love to go to the Ohio Reformatory. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I've never been there, but I have. Boy, that would be just an amazing place. Yeah, that would be something that I would definitely love to do my show there. Yeah, the Ohio Reformatory would be very cool. Isn't it dangerous to be around ghosts and get contaminated by evil spirits by putting yourself in these places? Yes, Lisa, that's a good question, and it is. And when I talk to paranormal investigators about that, there is a danger. There's an element of danger to this. No doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But at the same time, well, this is why it's very important that you have knowledge of when you're investigating. And so, like, for example, EVP work, which is electronic voice phenomena. So you have a digital recorder. Is anyone here? Can you make a noise? What's your name? You ask questions. I always do preliminary questions first. Do you confess Yahweh as your God? Do you kneel before the cross of the Lord? Is Jesus Christ your personal Lord and Savior? I always do the preliminary questions first. Matter of fact, I got an EVP response, very clear, on digital recorder. I said, do you confess Yahweh is your God? And the answer was, quote, hell no. And of course, that was a demonic case that I worked. And that was a very violent case. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But yeah, sure, there's definitely an element of danger there. So, oh yeah, Ohio Reformatory is absolutely no question about it. There's another movie that I saw. It was a horror movie, but it wasn't like gory and guts and all that other stuff. My brain just went say goodbye. But that was not what, if I remember, I'll I hate when I can't. Anyway. Yeah, I Port Paranormal, I definitely got to go. I do. It's one of those places. I have seen the Pope's Exorcism. I did a movie review just a couple weeks ago. Did you know, here, I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, but this is really, really crazy. Yeah, I talked about the Pope's Exorcist movie. I mean, the thing is I think they messed up. I think they messed the movie up because Hollywood has a tendency of incorporating fantasy and unrealistic scenes in a movie that just simply destroys it. That destroys the credibility. And I'm not going to get. Some of you might not have seen it. If they didn't have to do it, they did not. That's the thing. They did not have to do what they did at the end of the movie. What they did at the end of the movie just ruined it. It became stupid. That's when I began rolling my eyes and think, oh, come, really? Oh, seriously? You'll know if you've seen the movie. I just, at the very end, it just got to a point where it was just dumb. It was just like, why? It was so unnecessary. This is one of the movies. This is one of the reasons why I like the movie The Rite or the movie The Exorcist. Because it didn't go to a point where it was just like CGI or unbelievably stupid. So they for some reason they think they have to create this, go above and beyond. It's like, no, allow the movie was fantastic as it was. It was really good. They could have ended it much better. But at the end, the way they ended the movie at the end, I got so frustrated because I was enjoying the movie. And I thought, well, that's good. That's a good point. I like this, and that's valid. But then when they got to the end, I was like, oh, come on, why? So to me, I got frustrated with it, and I wish they had not done that. I wish they had not done that. The Rite, I spoke to Father Gary Thomas. I am going to see the Evil Dead movie, and I'll do a movie review on that. But Father Gary Thomas is a Roman Catholic priest, and the movie The Rite is based on his life. And I actually had him on my show once to do an interview, and it was a fantastic presentation. I think if you really want to see what an exorcist goes through, then I think The Rite is probably one of the best movies to ever do that, because it wasn't so sensationalized that it was stupid. To me, it was very, very good. Even the movie The Exorcist, I really liked it because it's valid, because what you see can certainly occur. And I know they're remaking The Exorcist. I just hope they don't increase it in CGI and make it just, it's like, oh, come on. So I'm hoping. We'll see. We will definitely see. Did you guys know this? Pray at the Devil looked good in the trailer, but the movie wasn't very good. Yeah, well, there's a lot of movies out there. It's like, why would you do this? And why would you do that? But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, here, I did not know this, but some of you might be surprised at this. This is by Elizabeth Edwards. The wild rumor that led the Vatican to investigate Shirley Temple. Yeah, you heard me correct. Elizabeth Edwards wrote this article, the wild rumor that led the Vatican to investigate Shirley Temple. What in the world? So anyway, Shirley Temple was one of the most iconic child stars of all time. But with fame and success also comes constant scrutiny and the occasional conspiracy theory. Temple, who died in 2014, was best known for her charming singing and dancing abilities, along with her perfect image, complete with the blonde hair. Well, while most Americans would never dare speak poorly of Hollywood sweetheart, the wild rumor began to spread across Europe that eventually grabbed the attention of the Vatican, the head of the Catholic Church. Well, Shirley Temple was the biggest star of 1930s. Shirley Temple was born on April 23rd, 1928 in Santa Monica, California. She was encouraged to sing and dance at an early age, joining a dance school in 1931. Around the same time, her mother, Gertrude Temple, began styling her hair in ringlets, and soon she was spotted by a casting director from Educational Pictures, signing a contract with a production company in 1932. Well, her very first film was a short story as part of the a collection of comedy shorts, basically. It summarized recent events of other popular movies with small children playing the leading role. Temple's short Glad Rags to Riches was a parody of the popular Mae West film that She'd Done Him Wrong. She was also featured in 2 other shorts. Anyway, 2 years after the burlesque, Temple became a breakout star in Bright Eyes, even winning a Special Juvenile Academy Award in 1935. So the wild rumor at the height of her fame, some speculated that Temple wasn't a child actor, but a 30-year-old adult with dwarfism dressed in a costume. Believers claimed her stocky build, her full set of adult teeth, and her perfect hair, speculated to be a wig, were all signs that Temple was a fully grown adult. So the rumor got so out of hand that the Vatican, which was often used in these kinds of claims as a neutral third party, dispatched the investigator to determine if Shirley Temple was a child or a sham. Can you believe this? So according to Temple's autobiography, Child Star, Father Massanti visited her and her family on behalf of the Vatican to see for himself if she was really a child. And the actress recalled the mother's eyes widened in astonishment as Massanti told Temple's family about the outlandish gossip. And in Italy, as in some other countries in Europe, there is a persistent rumor that Shirley is not a child at all, the priest said. Obviously, she is not an adult, determined Father Massanti. With the Vatican's assurance, the bizarre conspiracy soon fizzled out. What? Well, I mean, so folks, people have been wearing tinfoil hats for a long, long time. Tinfoil hats have not just started. I'm just letting you know. Yeah, you can investigate that. Yeah, it's when I saw that, I thought, no, come on, that can't be right. It's true. It is true. But you know what? Some people say, you know what? If you can explain the craziness, then you're more power to you than I can't. I cannot. That's just really idiotic. You know, well, that I agree. They wanted to, I guess, investigate as a third party. I don't know why. It's kind of kooky, but apparently people were saying that she was an adult. It was a big scam. Anyway, this is from a TMZ, by the way, for those of you who don't know. A would-be bomber threatens to blow up the H Wood sign in Hollywood, calls wrong cops with demands. All these dumb criminals. Someone allegedly tried to pull a Dr. Evil with the iconic Hollywood sign, both in terms of the ridiculously wacky demands as well as his overall smarts. Well, law enforcement told a TMZ that a man called Hollywood Police Department Sunday, threatening to blow up the famous Los Angeles landmark to smithereens with pipe bombs. That is, unless he was paid a whopping $10,000. It's like, oh. Anyway, big claims for big sakes, we suppose. Well, anyway, here's the problem. We're told the dude didn't even dial the right department. In attempting to reach Los Angeles, other sources say he actually dialed cops in Hollywood, Florida. Unclear if he realized that he had the wrong number, but in any case, we're told that the Florida Police Department hit up their Los Angeles counterparts to let them know what was going on. Nutty as the whole thing seemed. So we're told LAPD checked it out and found no credible threat at all. Our sources tell us that there have been no arrests, but the case is under investigation. So for context, the Hollywood sign is under 24/7 video surveillance. So it's always watched closely, and there are additional safety measures in place if anyone tries to tamper with it. Of course, some have been successful getting it into it in recent years, but it's not an easy target. Just another day in Los Angeles, not to be confused with Florida's so-called Diamond of the Ghost. I mean, how? So this guy wants to blow up the Los Angeles Hollywood sign, and Mr. Brilliant calls Hollywood, Florida, the police department. You know what, folks? You know, what are you going to do? What are you? I mean, oh boy. And also, here's another brilliant dumb criminal that you'll be interested in knowing. When I read this, I thought, dude, that's not good. That's not normal. And I kind of felt sorry for the guy. But anyway, this is from James and Dave and Chuck. A Florida man is facing charges after being identified as a suspect who broke into a gas station and stole items because he left his debit card behind. So police responded to a silent alarm that went off early in the morning on Sunday at a gas station. They found the front door unlocked and a debit card inside the store near the register. The gas station owner reviewed security footage and found a man entering a store from the back, stealing multiple items, then unlocking the front door and walking out. Officers recognized the name of the debit card as someone they had an issue with a vehicle fire earlier in the night, and they returned to the site of the car fire and found the suspect, who admitted to taking the items, but claims he left the debit card behind to pay for the items later. No words. There no words. I don't. Okay. So there we go. You know, hey, it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds, folks. Here's another one that you're going to really love if you like this one. This is by Dave and Chuck as well. A Maine woman, in this, makes a hoax bomb or bomb hoax threat from inside an Uber on speakerphone. So yeah, believe it or not. So it says here, if all criminals were as bad as being a criminal as this woman, the world would have a lot less criminals on the street. A woman called in 2 threats against a Walmart, but she was very easily caught. You see, the first call she made a bomb threat, and the second call she claimed the man with a gun was in the store. Well, she actually made the calls from inside an Uber and did it while on speakerphone. So the driver heard everything that went down. Then the Walmart store was evacuated, but later returned to being open after no one found any bombs were found by police. The woman that made the call was arrested after the driver called police to tell them after dropping her off. She's facing multiple charges. How? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's yeah. Okay. About Exorcist time. Okay, Exorcist coming on. Okay, later on. Okay, well there we go. So for those of you who like your dumb criminal segments, well, by the way, listen to this one. You think that's interesting? A woman in Florida. What's up with Florida? A woman in Florida thought that she was going to be able to trick the Florida courts with her homemade urine. Let me say that again. A woman in Florida thought that she was going to be able to trick the Florida courts with her homemade urine. A 44-year-old Shannon Hunter had one of the most harebrained schemes cooked up to fake a drug test. She was arrested after trying to fake a urine test with soda and tap water. She smuggled the homemade pee-pee in a prescription bottle, a pill bottle, hidden inside her body. The court employee was familiar with this tactic, but typically synthetic urine are inside the pill case. She'll have to do a few weeks in jail, pay some fines, and could have her probation revoked. You know what, folks? I don't know anything about urine tests and all this other stuff. I'm pretty sure, though. I'm not in the medical field, so I got to put a disclaimer, but I'm pretty sure that you cannot combine a soft drink, soda, Coke, with water and mix it, and then that is your urine. Or yeah, it was Mountain Dew. It could have. That's a good point. Yeah, it could have been Mountain Dew. Yeah, so. I guess because of the color, they thought maybe it was a Mountain Dew and distilled with water. But even then, I mean, they're going to test it. I don't know, folks. If you guys can explain that to me, then okay, we'll both of us will know what in the world's going on because I don't get it. I don't understand that. What about the bubbles? Yeah, well, it was carbonated, but perhaps, sometimes if you do have issues with your kidneys, there'll be foam in the urine. I don't know. Folks, I don't know. Yeah, you need a Tylenol. Boy, do I. Let me tell you something. I'm going to need Long Island iced tea after that one. My goodness gracious. That's kind of kooky. Okay. Let me remind everybody, tomorrow I'm going to be here with Bible study. So we'll be doing that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We won't be doing any paranormal questions. It'll be strictly Bible study. And that'll be at 8. I don't know if Miss Wilma will be with us. I don't know. Chances are probably not. So we'll have to see because she has pneumonia. She teaches our kids the Bible study, but I just don't know. So let me just wrap some things up. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. And for those of you who are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and Clapper, and TikTok, remember, I always tell you that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless, and never let anybody tell you guys otherwise. So Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, good night to you guys.